That's what we do. We fix it in post.
I'll do it live.
But well,
Fucking
doing it
do it
live didn't
live.
work out. Hey, internets! It's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and we were just talking about the title. The title you just saw, if you're watching with us live, is incorrect. But if you're watching on VOD, I probably fixed it. This is Book 7, Under a Red Moon, Chapter 88, Behind Closed Doors of Scribes and Scrolls, our Pathfinder 2E game that takes place on Monday nights right here on twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain. And in just a few moments, we'll get into the recap and get into the game. A couple of quick announcements. Of course, if you look up above M over here in the corner, you see these books, and it says 15 plus 2 there. Those are domain tomes. Domain tomes are the domain dice of this campaign. Of course, domain dice is a way that you, the audience, can have an impact on the game. For a $5 tip, subscription, gift sub, cheering 500 bits, all that good stuff will earn domain tomes for the players that they can then use throughout the game. Of course, I do that wrong every time. Domain tome. You can use one to re-roll a check using the second result, or you can draw a hero point card, which nobody has done yet. You can use 3 of them to avoid death, but can only be used once per player per session. Or you can use 5 of them to change the success level of any dice roll, including the Game Master's, up or down 1 level. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're thinking about subbing or gift subbing or using your free Prime sub if you're connected to Amazon, and you help support the channel. We've got a few other games that are taking place as we near the end of the year, which is weird to say. We are in the first week of November, but that means we have 8 weeks left in the year, basically. We have on Monday nights, of course, Scribes and Scrolls, and we will be playing right up until about the week before Thanksgiving, possibly one more after that, possibly not. But we'll be doing, throughout the month of December, we'll be airing some one-on-one interludes where I sit down with each of the players and we have a one-on-one session. We will then otherwise be taking a break throughout the month of December. Every other Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we returned after a 6-week absence with our Sky Metal Iron Gods D&D 5e campaign. And then, so that's every other Tuesday. We will have at least, hopefully, one more, maybe 2 more of those before the end of the year. We are working on getting scheduled, figuring out when we can get together for a Q&A wrap-up of Mythos Investigators. We wrapped up our Lawlerville season that we've been playing all year with our Call of Cthulhu game there, run by the master of cosmic horror himself, Ricky. And of course, on Thursday nights, you can catch us with Welcome to Paradise, Michigan, a Kids on Bikes RPG taking place in 1980-something in the fictional town of Paradise, Michigan, where a group of kids are spending the summer with their grandparents, and it has been anything but an ordinary summer. And we have just 2 episodes left in the season. The season finale promises a big twist. We're currently in a haunted house arc that Ricky was a major contributing consultant on that.
Why, thank you.
And we even got together last week briefly and
Yeah, we did.
exchanged a few more ideas. So
Yeah,
those of you
great.
that know, be scared. Those of you that don't know, well, you'll see why you should be scared. And then there's a couple more games coming up. On the 17th, I will be over on Nerdarchy for a second session of the Old Guard. And then the 26th, which I think is a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. We will be playing Household, where it's called all the little things, and we play little teeny tiny people living in an old house. We are very tiny people. So yeah, be sure to tune in for all that good stuff. I'm going to skip to the end here with a reminder that though this is a game, we are adults playing this game. Language, situations, things like that can get very descriptive, sometimes violent, sometimes delving into other matters that that you may not want to witness. If that's the case, please feel free to head on over to something like youtube.com/mini-terrain-domain and check out one of our other streams. We will not be offended if you decide to leave. Please know that we as players have safety tools in place. We understand each other's lines and veils, but we have those tools in place to keep one another safe at the gaming table. Finally, we just want to remind you, as we do before every game, that you matter. Your presence on this earth matters, makes a difference. Whether you believe it or not, it's true. There's any number of reasons that you might be struggling. You need to know first and foremost that it is okay to not be okay. But you do not have to struggle alone. You can come here to our chat at any time and type in !help. You will see a couple of URLs, findahelpline.com, or you can check out takethis.org's growing list of resources. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. And now with that, it is, well, Cari, what time is it?
It's time to find some paths, bitches. I was almost not ready again because I was coughing. I had some beer go down the wrong pipe. Alas,
so
I made it.
Sort of the overarching part of this adventure has been that within the next few weeks there is a coming blood moon that happens once every 10 years, and you are trying to make your way to the Gravelands, to a specific location near the lakeshore, where you have been told that a monastery will appear, because within this monastery, once every 10 years, the mysterious Black Lotus needs to finish its growth period by bathing in the blood of the blood moon, or in the light of the blood moon. And this Black Lotus has been you have been told of various things that it can help you with, such as possibly unpetrifying a former party member who was turned to stone, or saving the life of the half-orc Vorn, who is the older brother of Vornush'ka, and one-time love interest of Teera.
It was more than one time.
Oh, and I didn't know that time has passed. I thought the time was still going.
Well,
Vorn's gonna be shocked when he wakes up.
So there's that's sort of the overarching thing. You've got a few weeks to go. You helped out the town of Turtleback Ferry, and you were rewarded with an airship called the Zephyrhawk. While circumnavigating, or attempting to circumnavigate, the Mindspin Mountains by way of the Cinderlands, you were attacked by a Stingwing, a group of mercenaries riding on the backs of wyverns, who were seeking after the Asimir girl who had crashed onto the deck of your ship. Following that whole incident, unfortunately, Marda was unable to keep the ship airborne and crashed into the desert, not far from a town you were hoping to make a way stop in anyway, the town of Erglin, where you have discovered that in the primary region of Erglin, known as Warmouth, there are several warlords, chief among them none other than Roniker of the Roving Wolves. Still Still flanked by Rhaegar and Yaltha. Also learning that Roniker is attempting to unite several tribes and factions of orcs against the rising threat of the Whispering Tyrant Tar-Baphon, as many other orc clans are claiming allegiance to Tar-Baphon. Vornush'ka, you have learned that your own Blood Axe tribe was taken over by Torgal Skullsmasher, who has claimed the tribe for Tar-Baphon. However, there are some outliers that are taking haven in Erglin, who you have just made contact with. The three groups started as two groups, turned into three groups when Flip and Vornush'ka got separated during the sandstorm. While Marda, Teera, Kane, and Cleandra, the Aesmer teenager, all stayed back at Roniker's the word's escaping me
Hut.
now. Hut, command post, whatever you call it.
Longhouse.
While during the sandstorm, some creatures, undead creatures, attempted to attack them. It ended with Yaltha sort of delivering the final blow and mentioning that the two of you, Teera, need to talk. Vornush'ka found her way to the faction where a couple former tribal leaders, lieutenants, are present, and Flip had befriended an ogrekin by the name of Eartha, who gave shelter in her sort of underground home. And that's where we're going to pick up tonight, as the storm is continuing a bit outside. We are going to first see, as the camera pans around, we see this familiar interior of this underground home of Eartha, the ogrekin. We see the firelight dancing on the walls, and we see the various decorations and things that are in the curved walls, the pieces of furniture, and limited decorations, but everything, of course, sized for ogrekin. And we catch faint movement of shadows dancing across the walls, though we don't quite see the source of those shadows. But we hear Eartha's voice. Right. Just like that. Put it in slowly. Use both of your hands.
My hands aren't that big. Of course I'm going to use both.
Now,
Jeez.
you want to rotate in slow circles. As you pick up speed, make sure you change directions every few minutes or so.
Right. No, like, do I change directions with both hands? So, like, semicircle and then oval, or like...
As long as your hands are moving at all times. And the camera moves over as Eartha says, the risk is, if you stop stirring, the brew is going to bubble over. As you see, the two of you are around a cauldron over a fire pit. And Eartha is straight up doing a ghost scene with you, sort of holding her hands over yours, stirring this large wooden spoon in this cauldron.
Look, I really appreciate you taking me in, but I will say it's a little offensive that you think this is my first brouhaha.
I have no doubt that you've got some experience with various brews and whatnot, but I am positive...
And ha-has.
And ha-has. That if you've never been to Erglin, you have never made ooze booze.
Oh.
Who's booze?
ooze booze.
That's right. Your booze?
I want to see if she gets your joke. No, she does not get the joke. No, it's ooze, as in the river Ooze.
Right. No, right. Of course. Right. So I want to get back to what I was talking about earlier. The new book that I'm writing. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Because I had a bit of a revelation. And I needed somebody's opinion. And conveniently, somebody is here.
Right, change directions?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going in the other direct. You know, I'm a goblin. Very low constitution. This is very tiring. Okay. So the book is called The Fellow Flip of the Frings. Now, stay with me here for a second. It's a group of plucky heroes who are adventuring across a vast land, undertaking an important mission to rediscover the recipe of potato fried onion rings. But in the midst of their journey, they come upon an elfin princess. And this elfin princess appearance is very highly unexpected. Just sort of falls out of nowhere, really. And you know, as I'm concepting this story out, I'm having a hard time with this princess's motivations. And she's evil, right? Like, she seems nice at first, all innocent, but there's like a demon or some other evil influence that's going to dominate this story, right?
If the princess comes out of nowhere...
Falls out of nowhere.
Falls out of nowhere?
Yep.
And she has no connection to your story?
That's right.
I'd eat her.
Yeah. I mean, that's a direction.
I'd stew her up. Eat that stew. And then crack her bones and suck up the marrow. Then there's no more princess. And nothing to confuse your narrative.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't considered eating her. That's a direction of flow that really had escaped me. And after all, since she's evil, it's fine, right? Yeah, no, changing directions.
I mean, if you're asking...
Changing directions.
Yep. If you're asking my opinion, I don't care if she's evil or not.
Oh. Right, just eating folk. Got it.
Here's the thing about princesses. They come from rich places. They eat lots of butter and lots of fancy meats and vegetables and whatnot. It really flavors the meat up nice.
Booty's got a sooty, I hear ya. Reversing.
All right, now, stop stirring. We're going to remove it from the heat for a moment. And she reaches out to the sides where there's this, like, wooden yoke thing to grab around the edges without getting burned. And she lifts it up off the flame until it stops bubbling. She just stands there for a moment, and then she goes, "Get ready with your spoon." Sets it down.
My spoon is always ready.
Sets it down, and it immediately starts to froth up. We'll do this 3 more times, and then remove it from the heat. Let it cool enough, and then we can start bottling it.
This has been a great way to spend a day. Getting my spoon up in your brew.
Eartha's a hipster bitch. I love her.
Uh,
Making her own beer and shit. Like, come on. She's living the life.
You gotta find some way to pass the time during
Hell yeah.
a sandstorm. So as they continue with the process of making this ooze booze, we are going to cut to Vornush'ka. Vornush'ka, you are in the upper floor of this building from which you saw the banner of the Blood Axe tribe. And here you have encountered Jarhok, Martek, and Kusok.
I forgot the old names I wrote down myself.
They're in the in our Discord conversation too. That's why I screenshotted that.
Guys, they're having a private secret Discord conversation.
Yeah, because those never happen.
Oh. Sorry, just throw this. Fine. Just make sure we're all on the same page.
All right. That's the shit I wrote too. Vornush'ka first looks at Martek, who is a female orc. She's about 9 feet tall. She's even big for an orc. She has large warhammer and is one of my personal bodyguards because she's taken a blood oath that her clan has had to my family for the last 500 years. So I first look at her. What's her overall demeanor like? Like what can I pick up from her nonverbal cues?
What's the vibe?
As soon as you see Martek, as you said, 9 feet tall, rippling with muscles, her weapon is ostensibly it's a massive warhammer. But looking closely, you see that the head of this warhammer is actually a blacksmith's anvil. And one with, the one end has that sort of pointed end of the anvil, the other is blunt. And it's got a massive metal rod that's been sort of pushed through and welded, and that's what she uses as her primary weapon. And it's sitting there where they're all sitting, taking shelter from the sandstorm. When you first see her, she is standing and the head of the warhammer is down, and she's just constantly gripping and twisting the metal. Just, it's a warrior that wants to war.
Yeah.
And not only is there a sandstorm, but they are part of a splinter group that has had to flee to this town, as far as you know. Her demeanor immediately is somebody who is antsy to fulfill her true purpose. And upon seeing you, you see a little bit of a light in her eyes. Seeing the person that she is blood sworn to and seeing that you are alive, you can see that she is very pleased.
Yeah. Vornush'ka walks up to her and says, "Please, don't kneel, my old friend. Stand up." And I kind of extend my arm in like that bro handshake way, grip forearms. And, when I pull her to, she is at my head height on her kneeling position, but when she stands up, it's just kind of like this, overwhelming shadow. Speak plainly to me, directly. How goes the tribe? What has happened?
Everything has gone to shit since you left.
There you go.
It does my heart good to see you alive. I feared the rumors of your death were true.
Wait a minute. I've given Targo specific instructions, along with the War Council, Have they not fulfilled my request?
Togal had claimed that he had proof that you had died at the hands of a dark sorceress.
Oh.
And he has claimed the blood tribe for himself.
Without
The
the
War
blood
Council
axe.
was dissolved.
Hmm.
Togal took immediate control of the tribe and claimed the Blood Axe clan for Tar-Baphon.
Huh.
She says that and she turns her head and she spits.
Shouldn't have showed him mercy.
Jarhawk steps forward and you can see Jarhawk is the one that you know as the commander of the Blood Guard and is a brilliant tactician. And you can see the handles of his the massive cleavers. They're scimitars, but they look like giant meat cleavers that are on his back. And he steps up and forward and says, Martek speaks truth. But there was nothing we could have done. With Togal claiming the tribe in your supposed death, there was no challenge. We only broke away when Togal claimed the tribe for that lich. Togal would bring the Blood Axe clan back, set us back hundreds of years.
Claims dominion over the Blood Axe tribe without the Blood Axe itself. Tell me, I look over at Cusack. Are you all the three that remain of my loyalist?
Cusack,
Or are there others?
Cusack is a relatively young for a shaman. Typically, the orc shamans are orcs that have lived for a very long time, surviving the many battles, and have also learned the ways of magic. But Cusack was sort of a apprentice to a much older shaman. But she carries herself in a way that she seems to have a wisdom beyond her appearance. And she steps forward and she gives you, as she sort of leans on her staff, this sort of crooked stick that has a couple of human skulls that are sort of tethered to the top of it, and there's some feathers and leather wrappings and things hanging from it. She steps forward and says, Togal Skull Smasher claimed that he had the Blood Axe. But to keep others from trying to wrest control from him, that he was keeping it in a safe location. I see now that, as we suspected, that was a lie, as she indicates the axe strapped to your own back. We are not the only ones that remain. We are the only leaders that remain. Between the three of us, we command. And she turns and looks at Jarhawk, who says, 21 orcs.
21 orcs against the horde.
You would take this fractured remainder of the Blood Axe tribe, all 21, against the entirety of Skull Smasher's tribe.
No, it is still my tribe. Don't forget that.
And I think you will find that your leadership will be brought into question, even with the Blood Axe.
Born has cost me so much.
Your brother? I thought the half-orc had disappeared a long time ago.
He is necessary. Here are my plans. Here are my instructions. You three will act as spies for me. Round up more loyalists. Vet them if you may, if you can. Be very cautious. It is essentially important to know who can be swayed and who can't. Specifically within the leadership ranks. The War Council. Have they been executed or are they alive?
The War Council was dissolved publicly and violently.
The Blood Guard. And I look over at Jahok. Who remains in the Blood Guard? You are still the commander, correct?
6 of the 21 are my Blood Guard. When you speak of swaying others, you're talking of the other orcs here in Orglin.
No, I'm talking of... Alliance with other orc tribes is difficult because it quickly turns into domination. So, we need to put the fire out before we start repairing the house. And what I mean by that is Turgol, who is his council? Is he rule alone? Or does he have who is his shaman? Who is his advisors?
These are all questions we will have to answer. We left when the council was dissolved. On the night that he claimed the tribe for Tar-Baphon, there was no safety to be had should we stay behind.
I see. So we have no one in the Blood Oak tribe that can act as a spy for us that is infiltrated there.
Most of the tribe, if not all that remain, are zealous enough that they would fall in behind Dorgor Skullsmasher, even without him obviously possessing the Blood Axe. Cusack steps forward and says, "There may be something I can do to gather some of this information."
And Vornush'ka leans in, kind of squints her eyes. What is that?
I have learned much. I am eager to put it into practice in service to you. She bows her head slightly. She steps over towards the side of where one of these boarded up windows are, and you see her begin to she makes some motions with her free hand, and she begins whispering to the skulls on her staff, and the eyes within the skulls begin to glow as she whispers. And she reaches up with her free hand and seems to draw something out of the air. And you see that some of the sand and dust that's swirling in through the cracks seems to be coalescing in the air. And in just a moment, you see what looks like a large bloodhawk, but made entirely of sand. She whispers to it. And she walks over to the window by one of the cracks, and the bloodhawk seems to dissolve, and that sand pours through the crack. And when it's on the other side, in between the howls of the wind, you hear the cry of a hawk, and then again you hear it as it recedes further away, as she sends this conjured sand bloodhawk off in search of the Blood Axe tribe to begin spying.
That's freaking awesome. I almost want to play her in the next campaign.
Cool. I was just gonna say, make a note.
Every time we introduce a character, Ricky's like, okay, I'm just going to keep playing Blood Axe tribe members.
Yeah. All these people, they're so... I love all these characters. Vornush'ka is impressed. And she goes, apprentice, are you not? And she takes out the Blood Axe and like grips the bladed end of it and kind of like slices into her right hand a little bit, to where like a deep, maroon dark blood kind of spills out of her palm, and she sheathes back the Blood Axe, and then she takes her right hand and dabs and swirls her middle and index finger in the blood, and then on her forehead of the apprentice she writes master in Orcish.
Oh, badass.
As you do that, the blood seems to flare white hot for a moment, and when it recedes, momentarily in Orcish, that word is seared into her forehead, and then it seems to just absorb in, and then you just see a flare in her eyes.
So badass. You all have proven yourself beyond measure. There is a special place for you in the afterlife.
Are you to take control of us? Take leadership of what remains, then?
You will be you are the new war council. You are now the Blood Axe leaders. We have to, after the work is done with my brother, the power will be solidified, and the Blood Axe tribe will no longer have any questions as to who the leader is, the directions that they should go.
We have heard words that one of the warlords, Vornush'ka, the Roving Wolves, is continuing to gather orc tribes to stand against Tar-Baphon. While they may be of other tribes, there may be a benefit to allying ourselves, calling upon other tribes to aid us.
You speak wisely.
If I may, Vornush'ka seems to be distracted of late. Not only could we claim allies of the Roving Wolves and some of these other tribes, but if he remains distracted and is otherwise unable to lead, we could strengthen our numbers, claiming the Roving Wolves for the Blood Axe. Something
This is a risk.
to think about.
This is a risky proposition. But I think it's the only choice we have.
What will you do? We are admittedly surprised to see you here in Erglin, but most glad. But something in the way you speak, your demeanor tells me you are giving us assignments. You are leaving us once again.
The work I have to do is very important, and the very survival of the Blood X tribe depends on it. Pergal thinks he has power, he thinks he has control. But he is holding a barrel of gunpowder with a trail of fire behind him. And I'm here to see to it that it explodes properly. So.
And we will see to it when the time comes. We are there to aid you in lighting that fuse.
Find allies. Make bonds. Of the 21. War bonds, marriage bonds, whatever it takes us to grow our numbers. Let's not act immediately with violence towards the other tribe yet. We have to be very direct. And when we strike, we have to be very intentional. Timing, directness is so important.
Your words shall be our commands. We will carry them out.
I have always respected you all for being honest and frank and being direct. Please, is there anything else that you wish to share?
None, the only one that speaks up is Martek. I will carry out your words. As law, I will fulfill your orders. But know that I do it under protest of not being at your side.
Vornush'ka puts her hand on her shoulder. And then puts her hand over her heart and says, I am always at your side. And you are always by mine, so long as you are carrying out the will of the Blood Axe tribe.
You can feel that sort of tensing, that welling of the chest as she sort of puffs her chest up with pride at your words. That shall sustain me until I can once again be your blood guardian at your side.
Now then, do we have anything to drink and eat?
Of course. And they turn to the shadows and pull forth some of the supplies they have and begin sharing with you. And that is where we are going to cut over
Wait,
to...
real quick. And Vornush'ka looks over at Jarhawk and says to him, I am in need of company and comfort.
Oh.
Now we can switch our scene.
Jarhawk,
Yep.
Jarhawk, without needing any further prompting, he picks up one of the flasks or wineskins, and a selection of some of the rations, and leaves the rest behind for them, and motions to elsewhere, a door or something that leads elsewhere into the building.
The whole saloon doors at the video stores.
Yeah.
We're gonna go into the adult section of Video Hut.
There's a beaded curtain.
As the two of you walk into blackness, it's a literal fade to black as
Oh my God.
as we cut
Right,
to
right. We'll
as we cut to the Roving Wolves longhouse, where Yeltha has just said to you where the four of you are, has said, "We need to talk, Teera."
Immediately when Teera turns and it's Yeltha kind of between her and the door, she's like trying to stay casual and calm, but because, you know, Kane and Marda and the kid, Cleandra is there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cleander probably doesn't notice, but you guys know her well enough. She's kind of like up on her toes a little bit, and her knees are bent a little bit, like she's kind of ready to spring, but she's not trying to appear so. She's just looking at Yeltha, like, waiting.
Yeltha looks at you and looks around at your companions and looks back at you and says, "You can relax yourself, Teera. If I wanted you dead, I would have driven a dagger through your heart. Then tell you I wish to speak to you."
Teera's heels touch the ground.
Don't
And
get
she just
too
kinda, like,
comfortable.
cracks her neck.
I want you to be clear. I still hate you.
Thank you. That wasn't in a ton of question. Back at you, by the way. So, you and Ronica fucking, that never really got cleared up earlier. Tied your wagon to something powerful, eh?
I am blood sworn. Which you would know means that, yes, she is paired, mated with Ronica and sworn by blood.
Congratulations. Marrying up.
Perhaps congratulations are in order for you. Had you stayed, and had you survived, you would have been married off to Rhaegar. So congratulations to you on avoiding that.
Teera looks, her eyes just drift off into the middle distance for a second in terror, and then she just kind of like,
I need to talk to you of something of grave importance. But I need to know. Can this child and this old woman and this your lover, mate?
oh God, just stop talking. That's my brother. And that old woman and that child have been very helpful and very kind, and they've saved my ass more than once. So don't talk about them that way.
I need to know if your companions can be trusted with the information. If you say they can be trusted, then I will extend that trust to them. But I must say I am most curious that you say this is your brother, when you pined after all those years.
Yes.
The infamous Torbin, Torin. That's it. I go by Kane now. I don't care what you call yourself.
Yeltha, if you've got something to say, I suppose you can go ahead and say it. Though until I know what you're going to say, I suppose I don't know if these people should be trusted with it. They are my friends. I trust them with my life. If it's orc business, I mean, you can just talk to me, I suppose.
Why are you here? How is it that you are here in Erglin at the very time that Ronica is attempting to unite those that would stand against the Whispering Tyrant? You've been gone for quite some time, and by my reckoning, many, many leagues away. As I understood it, heading in far the other direction. I thought you'd be in Absalom by now.
Well, I was heading in the other direction, and then I found what I was looking for. And I nod over at Kane. We were heading back this way. We were on an airship, but, well, something happened. And Teera very pointedly is trying to not look at Marda.
So, you found your brother, and you picked up a teenager and an old woman along the way. You're building some sort of collection. Is this your new tribe?
It might, be news to you, but sometimes people in this life make what are called friends. I know the concept may be foreign, but these are my friends, and we've fallen in together because our adventures have taken us in the same direction, as it were. That's all.
Very well. They are all strays like you were. I understand.
I'm gonna strongly urge you to get to the point. I gotta be honest, all those leagues of travel have, made me pretty, pissed off and pretty odd.
Now, from your words, you were traveling on an airship. I can't imagine that travel would be so wearisome.
That travel was exceedingly short, and much shorter than it should have been. Sorry, Marda.
You see Yalthus grin and just sort of chuckle. It's good to know, Teera, that I can still get under your skin. Remember that. Now, she moves in closer, away from the door that she came through. As I
For
said,
just a second, when she's like moving closer for like just a flash, Teera is nervous. Like there's a very distinct flashback of when she was a kid, and these three bullied her and like beat her up more than once. And there's just a little flashback of that, but she shakes it off pretty quickly.
as I said, I am blood sworn to Vornush'ka. That means more than sharing his bed and sharing his blood, and bearing his children. As you know, that means I cannot stand against him. So it is my lucky day that you should show up. Vornush'ka is not a good leader.
What a fucking newsflash.
Vornush'ka always talked about how he could replace Garm. The tribe would be the better for it. Have you noticed, even here in Warmouth, amongst all these orcs, how many of these orcs do you recognize from home? Thinking back on when you walked in and the time you've been here, you realize that you've maybe recognized a third of the orcs that you saw.
Gotcha. Teera kind of does, like, her eyes kind of dart for a second as though she's thinking, and then she kind of looks back and says, I don't know. Not many, I guess.
Many of the roving wolves refused to come to Erglin under Vornush'ka. Since we've arrived here, in addition to trying to recruit other orcs to rise against the Whispering Tyrant, and I should say doing so mostly unsuccessfully, Vornush'ka has been spending a lot of time with the Bone Carvers. They are the priests of Rovagog, the World Destroyer. I am going to tell you something now, Teera. When I utter these words, you will know that besides myself, Vornush'ka, and Rhaegar, only the four of you will know.
Very well.
When Garm died, Vornush'ka did not burn him at pyre.
What? Why? And Teera kind of feels like she might know why, but she's kind of afraid of
This
what
is
the answer is.
knowing that the chief of the tribe was not burned at pyre is like a major
Yeah.
insult, denying him
Yeah.
passage to the afterlife.
Yeah. Teera feels like she's been punched in the stomach. Like, it's... Yeah. Why not? And she gets, like, instantly, like, pink in the face.
Because I think deep down Vornush'ka knows that he could never actually control the tribe the way Garm did. He
Gom
knows...
didn't control the tribe. He led the tribe. That's why. There's a difference.
Vornush'ka doesn't see that. All Vornush'ka knows is that he needs what Garm had. And he has held him back from passage to the afterlife so that he may lay claim to his soul. But he does not know how to access that sort of magic, and I can tell you that even I don't understand it. There is, in our quarters, as has been since we left, land of the Mammoth Kings, a crate that contains the mummified remains of Garm.
Oh, God. Where is that? Where is your quarters?
What do you mean to do if I tell you?
I'm going to go steal his body back, and I'm going to go out into the wilderness and burn it.
If you do that, Vornush'ka will know that I told you,
I don't give a shit, Yaltha!
and he will
should've-
kill us all.
You should have stepped in a long time before you did. This is on your head as much as it is his.
Vornush'ka?
You just fucking waiting for a miracle? You were fucking waiting for me? What? Is that your plan? Great job!
Vornush'ka has learned of an artifact from the bone carvers that could bring Garm back. He means to use this to capture Garm's soul and possess it for himself, and essentially become Garm. I am blood sworn to him. You know that I can do nothing against him.
You chose to be blood sworn to him.
You
Like
think
I
I
said,
chose to be blood sworn to him?
Yes! You wanted power, don't pretend like you didn't. You sure enough relished in it all of those years. You sure enjoyed it when times were high, huh? Now that they're tough, you want to jump ship. Fucking why don't you? Enough traditions have died here.
We are not talking about petty childish squabbles. Are you still sore about what happened at the lake with the owlbear?
I want to punch Yaltha in the fucking face. I want to punch her in the fucking mouth.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
As soon as she mentions the lake, I want to sock her right in the fucking face. Here I go. I don't know how to attack without a weapon.
It's an unarmed strike.
Okay.
I think the unarmed is on there
That's
somewhere.
funny.
It's somewhere on here, probably. I've never done this, so I don't know. Okay. Well, so unarmed, I would probably add my strength mod, I assume. Is that
Yeah.
fair? Okay.
Yeah, you would add your feel like there's more proficiencies in there.
Yeah. Hold on. Well, I rolled a. Let's see.
I'm looking.
rolled a. Yeah, I'm looking. Too.
I'm looking for it on the sheet. I'm not seeing it. I thought unarmed was there by default.
While Jake and I are looking, check us out on teespring.com. At teespring.com, we have all kinds of cool t-shirts like the one I'm wearing, and the MTD logo, and so many more. You can get it on t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, and so much more. Teespring.com. Just search Mini Terrain Domain. This is multitasking. Here we go. I feel like I get to add more than that. Is my
Hold on. Oh, Teresa.
Scheiße.
Just knocked Darth Vader off the shelf.
Oh, good.
Let's see, 278. Oh, I just turned almost directly to
You
it.
calculate your attack and damage rolls in the same way you would with a weapon. Page
Except what do I
280.
add? Okay.
Which does what? Melee what? Okay, so is unarmed listed in here? Okay, fist, 1d4 damage. But it... I don't know what the bonuses are, because it feels like...
It's just whatever your
you're
strength
trained.
is, your weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trained in it, so it would just
Oh.
be whatever a trained weapon would be for you.
Oh, damn.
Good lord, this fell
Okay.
all apart.
I think then, let's see, trained weapon. That would be, let's see, I think that's a 29 to hit then.
Yep, that hits.
Good. 1d4 of damage, am I hearing?
Yeah.
Plus my strength. Oh,
Sure.
so that's 7 points of damage.
All right.
It doesn't really matter, but it's worth knowing. It's worth knowing.
So what did you end up adding to that then?
My strength mod to my damage. I rolled a 3. I added 4 because that's my strength mod. 7.
Okay, got ya. Does a 24 hit you?
It does not.
When you hit her, she takes a clumsy strike at you. And she actually misses.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just standing there raging and just kind of like seething. And I'm like, yes, I am still sore about the lake.
Well, then I suggest you let it go. Because what we are talking about here has nothing to do with what teenage orcs and orc wannabes did a long time ago. We are talking about all of our tribes. And if I'm being frank, we are talking about all of Golarion. If Tar-Baphon can gather the forces he needs, he will wreak havoc on this land once again. And I don't think the gods will intercede this time. What Roniker is attempting to do is blasphemous. I agree with you there. It is a disrespect to his uncle's name and blood. That is why I came to you. I can see you still have the fierceness that scared Ronica all those years ago. Yes, that's right. Ronica was afraid of you. I want you and your friends to use that tenacity and prevent him from befouling Garm's memory and corpse in this way. I know where the Bone Carvers have told him to go to seek out this artifact. If you and your friends go and get it for yourself, you can keep it or cast it into the sea for all I care, as long as you bring it nowhere near Ronica or Garm. And if you leave here and go for there, I honestly don't care if I ever see you again. Go away. Keep going, I don't care. I don't expect you to join our cause. But I thought maybe you had some degree of care and compassion for your adoptive uncle. Your adoptive father.
Teera, like, you would see, like, the muscles in her back and shoulders, like, tense. And she would walk closer to Yeltha again. And she would just say, "We will go and get your pretty shiny whatever the fuck it is. And then we will be back. And we are taking that body. And we are going to burn it properly. And I don't give a fuck if Vornush'ka finds out you told him."
Then that is something I will have to deal with.
Anything else?
The bone carvers gave Vornush'ka this. Well, a version of this. I copied it. And she hands you from inside her tunic. Couldn't think of the word. She pulls out a rolled up piece of parchment. There is an anomaly about approximately 150 miles northwest of here, in the deep desert, in the Boulette fields. It is a tomb, said to be the final resting place of a frozen king. The artifact you are looking for is something called the Gift of the Frost Heart.
Odd. And there is a slight recognition in Tira's eyes for a second, but she kind of like tries to hide it.
The sandstorm is letting up. It should be safe enough soon within the hour for you and your friends to gather. In the meantime, you are still welcome to avail yourselves of the roving wolves and whatever we can offer. This meeting never happened.
Nope.
I was rolling to see if she was going to try to take a punch at you. A parting shot, as it were. You see her look like she wants to... In fact, I think as a sort of flashback to your youth, she does that classic...
Jumps to the flinch.
Does the...
Hold on.
See if you flinch.
Yeah,
Let's do intimidation. Let's do intimidation versus will.
Okay.
Let me see what her intimidation is. Okay. So... Okay. What's your will save?
30-20.
Just barely.
Ugh.
I got a 21.
Oh,
So you
Tira's
just
standing there
barely
with her arms
you fall
crossed,
for
and
it.
She blinks a little bit, yeah.
And then she kind of and she turns and leaves. And we're going to go ahead and take a break there.
Wow. Oh. All right.
There was nothing about you taking a swing at her that was surprising to me. I would have been surprised if this conversation had happened and you didn't throw a punch.
There was no physical violence. I get that. That's fair.
So, if you want to know more about Teera and Yeltha's relationship, just check out last year's interlude, or a couple years ago. Just check them all out. Just go check them all out. It's worth it.
Why not?
So we're
That was
gonna
a
go
great
ahead
first
and
half, folks.
we're gonna go ahead and take about a 5 to 10 minute break, and then we will be back to see what y'all are gonna do. See you on the other side.
Craft never hurt anybody, Ricky.
Never has. Except for my Pentecostal bomb.
Flip.
There he is.
As the storm abates, after successfully brewing up several bottles of ooze booze, you and Eartha could spend your time however you wished. But as the storm is cleared, Eartha gives you a leather satchel, inside of which is... Roll me a d4.
Oh.
Three. Wait, nope. 3.
There are 4 bottles of ooze booze in there. That these bottles are a single dose, and the way it is described to you by Eartha is, if you drink one of these for a little while, no acid can hurt you, and in a pinch, if you need to, while it's still active, you just make yourself sort of vomit it out, and you will projectile vomit for like 30 feet, all acid. These are 4 containers of a consumable called an energy mutagen grater, and it's specifically acid. Basically, it lasts for 1 hour. You gain resistance 15 to acid. You also get to add 1d6 acid damage on any melee weapon hits. And you can end the effect anytime within the hour by unleashing a 30-foot cone of acid as a 2-action activity that deals 2d6 damage for each of the 10 minutes remaining. So up to a maximum of 8d6. And it's everything's in there. It's in the Archive of Nethys and should be on the Path Builder. But you have 4 of those.
Wow, this is great. Thank you.
Whenever you write any of those other books, you'll be sure to send Eartha a copy, and I want your signature on it.
My signature and a kiss for sure. In the margin. I'll personalize it as well.
You can kiss my margin anytime.
Wow. Okay, this has been great.
It's been great.
Got to do that at a Barnes and Noble.
Parting is such sweet sorrow, and I'm out.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
As you climb out to the last little bit of wind blowing a little bit, sand covering a lot of stuff, but you already see people starting to throw open their shutters and clear away the sand. Vornush'ka,
Yes.
after you spent your leisure time with Jahawk, would you have stuck around for a while, or would you have headed back?
I would have done a quick little blood ceremony of, like, the
As you do.
cutting palms and everyone shake hands with blood kind of thing.
Yes.
And then after doing our blood oaths and bidding farewell, I would head back. Yeah.
As you're heading out of this place, climbing down the tower, you hear in your mind the blood axe. I swear, if you continue to waste good blood, I'm going to drink all of your blood the next time you cut your hand.
And what of you? What can you do? You were supposed to unite the tribe and keep us together. Your threats are impotent. I wield you, you do not wield me.
You took me away from the tribe. You refused to feed me and sate my thirst. You weaken me. If you continue to deny me what I am owed, I will take it myself.
Vornush'ka takes the blood axe and with both hands throws it into the ground so that the blade is deep into the dirt in the sand. Do you thirst?
I will remember every insult you heap upon me.
And your tyranny has not been lost on me as well.
You
Either
think...
we work together as a partner. I'm sorry, you had something
You
to
think
say.
you can control me?
I
Your
should just
mother
leave you
thought the
here.
same thing.
Ooh.
Perhaps I should have let the half-orc take me up all those years ago.
I'll be sure to give him the chance when we see each other again. Now come, are you going to stop your whining or are you going to aid me?
I can do nothing from the sand. Pick me up.
I just
stop
wanted to hear you
whining.
say that. And she picks up the handle.
I need you to make a will or a fortitude save.
All right. Can I add some bonuses with some extra die there?
You just
With the extra points or the
you
tomes we have?
don't you don't get extra points. You can roll or re-roll.
All
I mean,
right,
you
I'm
roll your
rolling
die and you
42,
can
said?
choose to spend one to
Sure.
re-roll.
Right. I was wondering if I can get a boost. That's all. I can advantage and roll 2.
No advantages in
Okay.
Pathfinder.
Yeah, I'm blending. I've been playing too much Baldur's Gate. Fortitude. Okay, right there. Alrighty, here we go. I got a 7, which is a 24, but I want to re-roll that.
1.
I think we can do that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
1 tome.
All right, here we go. That's better. It's way better. 19, 17, 36.
Wow.
You feel the familiar sting of the spikes, the thorns, when you pick up the blood axe. And you know that sensation of the thorns persists just a little bit longer than it should have. As if it were attempting to siphon its due when you picked it up.
Ooh.
But you prevented that.
Nice try. I didn't take you for a leech. Took you for a weapon.
Flip, as you emerge from Eartha's homestead, you see not far away, maybe a block away, you see Vornush'ka holding the blood axe and seeming to be in conversation with herself.
Flip is gonna walk over to Vornush'ka and he's gonna say, "You talking to your cursed object there?"
Hold on. Vornush'ka says, we're working out our differences. Long-term relationships can get difficult sometimes. And she kind of
Yeah.
glares at the axe.
You gotta communicate. Communication's number one. You really need to focus on making sure those lines of communication are open. I mean, mind you, your axe is a blood-sucking murder machine, but no, cool. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vornush'ka takes like a whiff of the air. She goes, "Smells like you've been communicating as well. Work up a sweat, have you?"
No, I don't typically sweat when I act in a brouhaha manner. It's really. And then he like lifts his armpit. Oh, that. Right. Yeah, I got some exercise. You gotta work out your problems when needed.
Why
I did
is
some
it?
arm curls.
Why is it Ricky and Gary, no matter what characters they're playing, end up having this same conversation?
I don't know.
It's a trump card in
This
an
is
improv
deja
situation.
vu to Doc and Vorn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never intended for this. This is just
Remarkable.
natural.
I'm like, this
I'm
is
just flowing like
all of this
water.
has happened before, and it will all happen again.
And
Again.
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So the soul-sucking axe that you're wielding there, did it reveal any scintillating philosophical insights, or just kill or kill?
Yeah, it's kind of being a whiny bitch right now, and it hasn't done its end of the bargain.
Oh,
And quite frankly, I'm tired of the belly aching. I'm thirsty. I need blood. It's like, ugh.
I am a board-certified addiction recovery specialist. I'd be happy to work with your axe if you find it helpful.
Axe, do you need to talk about your feelings? And Vornush'ka kind of like talks to the air.
I will bleed you, bitch.
Yeah.
Can I hear the voice, or it's just talking to Vornush'ka?
It's just talking to Vornush'ka.
What does it think? Does it think it could benefit from my help?
Yeah, it wants to have a session, probably, I don't know, daily, perhaps.
Daily?
Maybe.
Yeah, you know what?
I will
think
bleed
what we
the goblin
really need
dry.
what we really need to recognize, and he's talking to the axe now, is that we're all powerless. And it's in that powerlessness that we gain our strength.
I hate you.
Because ultimately, if we lack the power to act, and yet we act in spite of that powerlessness, it makes us truly powerful.
See, that's what I've been saying. Power and not having power is simply the same thing. And Vornush'ka's doing her best to try to intellectually keep up.
As the two of you are walking off, heading back towards the roving wolf thing, I just imagine just periodically hearing the two of you saying your things, and just every once in a while in your head, you hear the blood axe. I did not agree to this. I will kill you and the goblin. I don't know why, but suddenly, in my mind, I'm picturing the blood axe more like Venom, like a symbiotic thing than I was before.
Yeah.
And I haven't even watched Venom recently. It just all of a sudden, it's like the blood axe seems to be like Venom.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a perfect example of the symbiosis we have.
Meanwhile, back at the roving wolves, after Yeltha leaves and leaves you with this information, it's just you, Kane, Cleandra, and Marda.
Teera like relaxes her shoulders and just like kind of like sighs and shakes her head and kind of like is pacing around the room like she's thinking.
That was a very interesting interaction.
Yeah. I was pretty proud of myself how peaceful I was. And you can tell Teera is not joking. Like, that is clearly like the epitome of her self-control. And she's just kind of like, still just like shaking her head and kind of like, yeah, thinking hard. Like, we go way back.
Mm. Yes, I could tell her constant, incessant need to get a reaction out of you was interesting. She could not say one sentence without it being twisted into trying to dig that knife that she has in your chest a little bit deeper.
Yeah, that's kind of always been her game. It's been nice to have a few years break from it, but you know when they say you can't go home again? Well, this is like fucking old home week. It's just like it always was. But she was all about she was all about Vornush'ka back then. Very proud to be at his side all the time, and now that things are going sour, she's not so sure.
It sounded like she got exactly what she wanted.
She got exactly what she deserved. But anyway, neither here nor there. We have to do something about. You didn't know Gom. He was the second best man I ever knew. And he was a good father. Betsy doesn't deserve to be in a fucking box.
You
As
were
you-
close.
As you say that about him being a good father, you hear the sudden scuffing sound of a chair across the ground as Kane stands up abruptly. You would call that orc your father?
For a time. Yeah.
And what of Duquette? Have you replaced
He was-
him with this orc?
No, it wasn't like that. We don't even know if our father is alive or dead, but, I mean, Gom, he kept me safe, and he took me in, and I didn't have anything else. And he helped me get big and strong, and he taught me everything I know. Well, almost everything I know. He was a good father, and he didn't have to be.
Did you
Sorry
hear
if
what that?
hurt.
Did you hear what that orc said?
Yes, I heard everything she said. What are you referring to?
This artifact she wants us to go after. That can't be a coincidence.
I suppose not.
A frozen tomb in the midst of a desert. And an artifact called the Gift. Was it the Gift of the Frost Heart?
Gift of the Frost Heart. I heard her.
What the heck is this music? Sorry,
Very gentle.
it got very
I like it.
nursery
No, it's
rhymey
zen
all
as-
of a sudden.
It's zen as fuck. I love it. Yeah, I heard her. I mean, what'd you want me to do? Go, oh hey, that's my name. Is that what you wanted me to tell her?
No, but this just seems too much of a coincidence.
It is a coincidence. It's wild and out there, but you don't understand. I'm not going to let Gom dry out in that box. Marda, in all of your book learning, have you ever heard of this gift, or even this frozen tomb in the middle of a desert?
Has Marda heard of any of that kind of thing? Can I roll?
I will allow a recall knowledge on.
Have a lore academia,
That's everything.
So,
which is books.
Books.
well, and I think given your specialty, Yes, I will allow it.
Ooh, 31.
Oh my
I set the DC at 30. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, it's going to have a little higher DC because this is a little more esoteric. It's a little more outside of your normal stuff. But
The passion project.
I think
It
that's...
was like a hyperfixation at one point.
Yeah, I think...
For like a month and a half.
Yeah.
It's like in your studies, you read an interesting article about something, and then it led you down this rabbit hole for like 2 weeks. And I imagine Marda, to some extent, has this like eidetic memory. So it's almost like hearing this and thinking about it, you sort of trace those paths to something you read about that pertains to...
It's like a scene in CSI where it goes like, and it like zooms in on all of this text and pictures and.
I don't know why I decided it was a good idea to put all of these delicate Legos in front of the books I'm constantly pulling off the shelf.
Work on your dexterity.
I'm just trying to, because I don't know. Sorry, I don't know Galarian as well, so I'm just checking locations. So you guys are in... I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but in general, this will give you an idea of distances. So you guys are in Erglin, which is over... Let me make sure I'm in the right area. Is over here in the Cinderlands. To the northwest is Irisin. Straight north is the realm of the Mammoth Lords, where Teera hails from. Irisin is also a frozen area, which in our new lore, Teera, you would know that's where your mother is from. In fact, Marda, in your studies, this rabbit hole you went down, it had you reading about the Frost Witches. And you know that that's an area that the Frost Witches hail from. And this definitely sounds like something, the kind of magic that a Frost Witch would wield to create an anomaly of a frozen tomb in the midst of a desert as a way of, one, possibly to hide away or protect something, but also by creating a frozen tomb in the midst of the desert, almost daring, challenging people to come in and try to circumvent the traps and things. This reeks of Frost Witch magic.
Yeah, so Marda would relay that information to Teera. But that is my best guess. After she went into like this very detailed, recount of and location and frost witches and all that, and that is my best guess.
That's the
Teera
best.
smiles and be like, "Oh, that's a pretty damn good and very detailed guess." Anyway, we have to go. I understand if you all don't want to come with me, but... And Teera would kind of look over. I imagine she would have a general idea of where Roniker's quarters would be. She kind of like almost looks off in that direction, like she's thinking, and she would just say, "I have to go." And she would look at Cade and she would be like, "He didn't replace our father. Not ever. But he was there for me when I needed somebody to be there for me. And he was damn near the only one." Will you help me?
I'm sorry that I lashed out the way I did. I didn't have anything like that. At best, at the best of times, I had a band of hunters and trackers. Men and women who could barely parent their own children, let alone the orphan boy in their midst. Yes, I will help you.
Teera would smile over at Marda and she'd be like, "Are you going to be around to save our ass as usual?"
So this would be like in the other way to where we're originally heading?
It's only about 150 miles northwest, so it is not in the direction you're going, but by airship 150 miles is not. That's what well, trying to
I'm
think
glad that it still matters. That gives me hope that you are taking this into consideration.
it's
The airship, the fully functional, perfectly fine airship.
It's I would say if my math is correct, it's about 30 hours of travel. I think we established the Zephyr Hawk moves at about 5 miles an hour. And you
Is that right?
have
Because don't people move like 5 miles an hour?
I don't know if
Well, I
you're
mean, if they're
if
jogging,
you're walking at a
that's a-
fast pace.
It's a pretty brisk run. 5 miles an hour. I thought you said it was more like 10 miles an hour for the Zephyr Hawk.
I mean,
Maybe
it doesn't
I
matter.
did.
Just that 5 miles an hour doesn't seem very fast for a flying ship.
It might matter a skosh.
I
And we can
mean,
go as the crow flies. There is that.
we can do this. We can look at the actual stats that are in the
Oh.
documents.
Oh,
There are stats.
It's 50 feet per round.
It's 50 feet per second.
No, that's
Math.
not 50 feet per second.
What's around?
6 seconds.
50. Oh, no. Sorry. My math brain is turned off. Sorry.
So hold on. So if it can
Uh,
go
it's like
50.
8 to 10 miles an hour.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I think you're. Did we. Okay, so I was wrong in my 5. I feel
Well,
like,
I
yes.
just figure if a human can go like 5
It's
Yeah,
flipping.
miles
no.
an hour.
I think we did
Flipping.
have this discussion at some point about it being able to move about 8 to 10 miles an hour.
It's clipping.
Okay, so
And we get to, yeah.
it's about 15 hours away by airship. And you know you still have about 3.5 weeks before the blood moon.
Oh, lots of time. Okay, yeah.
And you, even with circumnavigating the Mindspin Mountains, you knew that you were. I think we had figured somewhere around 5 or 6 days of travel you were planning on, and that was still going to get you there.
Yeah. Plenty of time.
Well ahead of time. So, yes, you have
Yeah, so
plenty
then,
of time.
yeah, Marta nods and just, of course, we will. This seems very meaningful to you.
Right about this point, I would say, is where Vornush'ka and Flip show up as you hear Teera and Marda talking. Teera asking Marda if she will go with. They're apparently planning a trip you know nothing about.
Whip, it's your airship.
Wait, what?
They're
Flip, we
talking
have to
about
go
taking a
north.
trip with your airship.
We have to go north?
Yeah.
The words have to imply an imperative, which doesn't seem accurate.
Pray tell why.
Flip. And Teera would like bend down and take Flip by his little shoulders and just be like, Flip, it's very important and it's an orc thing and basically well, it's a very
I
long story.
understand orc things. Speak plainly and directly. What thing drives us north?
And Teera would look over her shoulder and would kind of stand up to meet Vornush'ka's eye and would just say, "The chief of my tribe, the old chief of my tribe, the last good chief of my tribe, was not burned at Pyre. And Vornush'ka is the reason why. And apparently he's trying to, bring him back like a zombie or some shit. And we have to stop him, and there's an artifact that he's trying to steal that'll help him bring him back like a zombie or some shit, and we need to get to it first."
He would dare not give his chief the proper burial.
Yes.
Tell
No.
me, and Vornush'ka knows in her heart that, she has an ulterior motive. Tell me about this imposter to your tribe.
Well, he was the last chief's uncle. Or, nephew, rather. Is your uncle. And he made my life a living in Nine Hells as long as I was there, and it was just... He wielded power. He wanted power and control, and he didn't want to lead. And, well, those chickens are coming home to roost now, and he's not a very good leader. And apparently he's trying to bring his uncle back in order to steal his soul or some shit. It was a very convoluted explanation.
What are the consequences of giving your chief the proper burial?
He doesn't get that power. He doesn't get to bring him back. If we burn him at Pyre... Anyway, every orc chief should be burned at Pyre. It's the way things are.
And what do we do about the current imposter? Being that once his plans are thwarted, he will seek justice. He will try to root out who betrayed him in his tribe. And that would fall upon us, correct?
Mainly me.
So you've presented us with a two-tier problem.
You need to worry about one tier. Let me worry about the other. I'll take care of the other. I hope he does come asking retribution. I hope he does.
Vornush'ka looks over at Flip. And kind of like a, what do you think kind of expression?
I don't understand how we continually get sidetracked by these side quests. We have a thing that we're planning on doing.
I know.
And we're not going to do it.
Flip, we are, but...
That's what I said at the dam.
It'll
of
be
course not as eloquently.
Flip, we have a couple weeks yet. It'll be 2 days out of our way. 3 days tops.
Flip is going to hop up onto a chair. And he's going to look Teera in the eye.
I want art of this. I'm picturing the art. And Teera's kind of crossing her arms
he's gonna put his hands on his hips. And he's gonna say, "Look, I understand this is an emotionally charged situation. As I understand it from whatever half story you just provided, your old chief wasn't burned at the stake. And there's
stake, Flip.
Something to do with honor.
He wasn't a fucking witch, and we need to burn our old chief. He's fucking mummified in the other room. And I can't get at him.
He's here?
It's a secret. We can't let it out. We have to go get this artifact.
Wait a minute.
Then we'll come back and clean up the mess.
Why not just kill the imposter and then the chief? Take care of the chief.
If we do that, I don't like that idea. If we do that, then the whole of this new version of my tribe will descend upon us, and that's too many. I can deal with 2 or 3, maybe 4.
So what do you think will happen after you get the artifact and burn the chief? The same result. They will descend upon all of us. They will not just pick you, Teera. They will attack all of us.
They will not. I don't think they... And Teera has very clearly not thought this out, but she just kind of shakes her head and she's like... She looks at Vornush'ka, like, almost begging for, like, understanding, and she just says, "We have to go. Please. Flip, please. We have to go."
Marda, while this conversation is happening, and ever since Yeltha came in and explained the situation, there's two things that are sort of... There's a dichotomy that is forming in the back of your mind. And as this dichotomy is arising, and in that subconscious way that you start to think about something and you start weighing the pros and cons, I imagine it's not long before that thought starts to move forward, that the one side of the conversation is your voice, and the other side of the conversation is your sister's voice. It's as if the two of you are talking this out. The dichotomy that is occurring within your mind is what Yeltha described is anathema to the teachings of Pharasma. It is the desecration of a corpse. This is not something that Pharasma stands for. This is something that what is described, besides the Orcish traditions of burning the body and sending them on to the afterlife, Garm's soul is being withheld from final judgment by Pharasma. The dichotomy comes in because in order to prevent further desecration and actually straight up stopping that soul from crossing over into judgment, Roniker wants to have this artifact and resurrect this chief. But in order to gain this artifact, you need to rob a tomb, which is also anathema to Pharasma. What is some of that conversation that's you're starting to knock around as they're having this discussion? How are you weighing this in your mind?
I imagine that within Marda's mind's eye, there is this never-ending darkness. And within this blackness is Petra and Marda with the light from some source that pierces through this darkness that is illuminating them. They seem both close but miles apart at any given time. At any time the camera shifts and moves perspectives, the closeness of them and how they're related in size and proximity to one another drastically changes. And so with this Marda we have to go and we have to burn this body. We have to ensure that it is properly carried, not only for Pharasma, but also for Teera and her sense of finality as well. And I guess Petra has this, walks in like the opposite direction and says, yeah, I didn't realize that you cared now so much for people. I did not realize that you now were so far above and took into consideration others other than this whatever deity of the month or deity of the time period that you are taking at this time. You should know that in order to do so, you have to desecrate a grave. And Marda stops and she... Yes, I know that. This one is different. Pharasma is different. She is able to guide me further into balance. And just like Pharasma, and just like this balance, I think that there is a greater good that comes from burning the body, that it will be forgiven to desecrate this tomb. I think we have to look at what is going to happen, the consequences of whether we don't desecrate a tomb or whether we don't, or whether we let the soul become perverted and repossessed by this asshole.
I would like you to make a... What are the checks again? It's fortitude, reflex, and will. Make a will save. But I want you to, in addition to your will, I want you to add your religion bonus.
Oh, nice.
Oh my religion bonus?
Yeah, whatever your religion modifier, your religion skill
Ooh,
is.
Okay. That
What's
is a
50. No.
50...
Is it really?
52, I think.
Oh my
No
God.
way. Are you serious?
I
So
rolled...
religious.
Yeah, I have a plus 18 to my religion.
God
Did
damn.
Jake
Yeah.
set the AC at like 90 or something?
No. Once again, Marda squeaks by because I set the DC at 50.
That's
Not knowing what your actual scores were.
Incredible.
Let me make
And
sure.
what this means is that in this internal conversation that you're having with Petra, and you know that there's a part of you that knows it's you using Petra as to represent the other side of your argument. This isn't a case where Petra is actually there talking to you, which also helps to account for this whole very ambiguous nature, this sort of swirling. I almost pictured at these various points, it's like at some points Petra's like miles away from you, and then when she says something she's like right in your ear, and then she's somewhere off in the distance again. It's just this very internalized viewpoint of your relationship. But underneath that, as you are laying down your argument, you get the sense that Pharasma approves of your logic to an extent. You get that feeling of, if you've ever tried to convince a parent that, you know, as a teenager, you're trying to convince your parent that you really want to do something and they're against it, and then they finally do that. All right. But don't come crying to me when it goes wrong kind of thing. You kind of get that sense from Pharasma, which also I think is probably the first time in a long time you've had a direct sensation that you can attribute to Pharasma. Like, you know that it's as if Pharasma was listening in on this internal conversation. I think as a way of wrapping this up for tonight, we're going to do a little sort of a transition scene where Yeltha dispatches a few dozen of the tribe to assist you all heading south to unbury the Zephyrhawk.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
shovels.
Yeah, so you all get assistance in digging out, basically, and they even help with a little bit of the repairs. It's mostly just a few cracked hull boards. You just got to go to the wood barrel and hammer it a few times, and that's how it works in Sea of
Flip
Thieves,
has
right?
like a garden trowel. Is that what Flip has?
Instead of a shovel.
Flip is supervising, and as he's doing so, he's going to note to Marda. He's like, for the record, Marda, I landed an orc. You couldn't land an airship. Just saying.
A willing orc that needed to be landed.
Is that what they call it now?
There's a difference. Just saying.
And
amazing.
I think the final scene we see is the Zephyrhawk taking to the air with Flip at the helm. And as it flies off, we see from within Erglin, we see Yeltha watching from the Roving Wolves headquarters, Longhouse. We see Jahawk, Martek, and Cusack peering out the window of their tower. And we see from outside of their home, as the airship flies over, we see the Ogrekin Eartha just kind of looking up and watching as the airship sails off into the distance to the northwest. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Great. That is great. Good episode.
And I honestly think, Em, you're the only one that's going to recognize this. And you may have picked up on it in the early teasing of this.
Yes. Yes.
When I first decided I wanted to use that, for some reason it slipped my mind that you would actually, I was like, oh yeah, nobody's going to know what this is. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Em totally knows what this is.
What is that? Tell us.
So I'm actually using something from Absolute Tabletop called Oath of the Frozen King. It is their first adventure kit. They've now published 3 of these.
Oh, nice.
With the latest that Battle for the Arctis Vault. But the adventure kit is something that has a generalized theme and it's mostly roll tables that allow you to assemble an adventure. You have a lot of pieces you need. I've run this multiple times. I wanted to try running this in this setting. I want to try adapting it to Pathfinder, which is something I've never done. I've run it in as various 5e things, but I thought it would make for a nice side quest, and it kind of fits thematically. I was going to change it to be desert themed, and I'm like, no, I like the frozen thing because it ties into Teera's backstory and all that good stuff. So yeah, it'll be
a lot of moving parts.
It'll potentially, most likely, it'll be one session's worth of stuff, but it could be 2 sessions worth of content. So, although with you guys, it could be 3 or 4 sessions. Who knows? So
who knows?
But yeah, we'll be back next week with that in episode or session 89. Let's see, it's Monday, so the next actual scheduled game that we have is this Thursday. Is session 29.
Second to last. That's
Kids
all
on
that
Bikes.
matters.
Second to last of the season. So we hope to see you there for that. I want to say a huge thank you, of course, as always, to everybody who tuned in to hang out and watch with us tonight. If you, it looked like we had at least 1 raid in there, a couple of subs and some bits. So thank you all for that. Thank you. I saw some lurks. So if you are somebody that likes to use that lurk command, hide in the background and just listen, we appreciate you all the same. Or maybe you're watching later on the VOD. We do appreciate you. And finally, as always, a huge thank you to these amazing players that we get together once a week and play make believe, and we get up to some weird shenanigans while somehow moving the story forward, baby step at a time. So thank you to Gary, Cari, Em, and Ricky, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.
It's kind of being